Hey guys, in this chapter we're going to make this horrible looking interface look a lot better. So let's get into it. What we want to do is open up our style sheet. Okay, now we have quite a bit to do here. So I want to zero out the margin and the padding. Some browsers, especially older ones, will include different values when it comes to padding and margin. So we just want to zero that out, and we can use this asterisk, and that just represents every element. Okay, so every element on the page. Set that to 0, 0, and we're also going to say border 0, okay, or border none, and outline none. Okay, so that'll take away the border from tables, from anything. Alright, so next is the body. Alright, so for the font, I'm just gonna give it a font family of Arial. Font size will be 13 pixels, and we'll give it a line height of 1.5 m. The color of the text will be white. Now, as I said in the last chapter, the background here is not an image, it's actually CSS3 gradient. Alright, so I'm going to paste in some CSS here. Alright, so basically I'm setting the background to a static color for older browsers that don't have this CSS3 gradient capability. Alright, now, and then these lines here, we're just setting different gradients for different types of browsers. Mozilla WebKit for Safari, and of course just the linear gradient as well. Alright, and we're starting with this color, which is basically a purplish pinkish color, and going into a bluish grayish color. Alright, so that's what this whole block of code does, is creates that background. So let's save it and make sure it displays. Alright, there we go. Alright, so now we have the gradient background. I think that's it for body. The next thing I want to do is, if you remember, we have that clear fix class, and that's just going to clear any floats that we have. So we're just going to set this clear to both, and that's it. Alright, so next we'll do the container. And usually when I'm building websites or apps, I'll have a container class, and I'll put that wherever I want content to be placed in the middle at a fixed or percentage width. But with this application, we basically, everything is in the container, so we're only going to have one container, so that's why I'm giving it an ID instead of a class. No big deal, just wanted to throw that out there. Alright, so the container, the width is going to be 330 pixels. We're going to set a minimum height on it, and that's going to be 400 pixels. And the background is going to be a dark gray. We want to set overflow to auto. As far as a margin, we're going to give this container a margin of 20 pixels on the top and bottom, and we want to set the left and right to auto so that it's placed in the middle of the browser. We're going to make rounded corners. Okay, so we can use the CSS3 border radius property, and I'm going to set that to 10 pixels. And then finally we're going to have a box shadow, kind of give it that drop shadow look. So we'll say 0, 10 pixels, 8 pixels, -8 pixels, and we're going to give it that dark gray. So that should do it for the container. Let's check that out. Alright, so you can see it's placed in the middle. We have our rounded corners, drop shadow, looks good. Now you can see that we do have content missing. Basically we're going to insert that using jQuery. So you know what, right now let's just put some static content so we can just see what it's going to look like. Alright, so for the cover, let's go to the HTML and actually just give this a source. And we want images, covers, cover1.jpg. Okay, so that'll just put the static image in there for us. Okay, so let's style this. Obviously that's not what we want. We need to change the size and some other things. So let's give a style to our audio image div. Okay, so I want to position it relative. The overflow is going to be hidden. We're actually not going to show the entire image because it's just too big. And the dimensions just don't work, so we're going to hide part of it. We're going to give it a height of 200 pixels and margin bottom 15 pixels. Alright, so you can see that now only 200 pixels is showing, and since we put the overflow to hidden, then we can't see it. There's no scroll bars, so it's just nice and it's just sits in there. Alright, I do want the actual image to be smaller, so what I'm going to do is set it to 100%, and basically it's going to be set to the width of this div that it's contained in. Okay, so we want the actual image, which has a class of cover. So under here, audio image, and then we want that cover class, and I'm going to set that to 100%, and actually that's all we need. Alright, so now we have our cover. Next, let's do the audio info. Now you can see we don't have it here because it's going to be generated, but again, for now, let's just put some static content there. Okay, so that is right here. Okay, so it's the artist, and I'll just put in the name of a song, the first one, Paper Cut. Okay, so we want to add a little style to that. We get the audio info div, and basically I just want to align the text to the center. Whoop. And then the artist, I want to make the artist title bold. So I'm going to say audio info dot artist. Alright, so that's good. Okay. Now what we want to do is the volume. Okay, so let's change this to look like this. So it's an input with the ID of volume. Alright, so let's set the width to 95%, basically across the whole thing. I'm going to put a little bit of margin on the left to push it to the center, which will be just 2%. Now we want to set the WebKit appearance to none. This is basically going to remove any of the operating system styles that is applied to this element. All right, so WebKit appearance, can't spell, and we just want to set this to none and give it a little important. Okay, background is going to be light gray, and we just want a height of 1 pixel. Okay, so that basically just be the line for the volume, and let's get it a margin bottom of 20 pixels. Alright, so let's see what that does. That gives us this line. Now we want to change this little bar to this this ball, which is just basically just an image that we have, which is right here. Okay, so it's called knob.png. Now to style that, we're going to say input volume, and we want to do WebKit slider thumb. That allows us to style that little bar. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take away the appearance, and we just need to set the background to a URL, no repeat. Okay, and the URL is going to be images/knob.png, and let's give that a height of the image, which is 12 pixels, and a width of 12 pixels. Okay, so that should do it.